let's welcome in the legend himself, Milt Stegall. Milt, welcome back to Winnipeg Sports Talk. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. Playoff time, best time of the year, right before American Thanksgiving. This is when the real football is played. So I'm excited for the next 2 weekends.
Honestly, Saturday is shaping up to be, if you were a fan of the Canadian Football League, honestly, I think coming out of the weekend, obviously BC was a great story and they are hosting the Grey Cup, but Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, we've got the 4 best teams left in the Canadian Football League standing, don't we?
Without a doubt. The football guys, they decided we're going to get this right this time. We're going to make sure in the Final Four it is the best 4 teams. And you talk about the West Final, the best 2 fan bases in the CFL, with, of course, Winnipeg being number 1. And some people don't like that I say that, but as I say, I speak 2 languages, and that's English and facts, and it's facts. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers do have the best fan base in the CFL.
Well, we're going to see that on Saturday at Princess Auto Stadium. I'm not sure how many Rider fans will be making the trip. I'm pretty sure the very few remaining tickets were snapped up right after the Riders run. Now, whether that's the people who are coming in, I don't think it's going to have a Labor Day or a Banjo Bowl feel very much because this is the playoffs. But listen, before we get to Saturday, what did you think of Saskatchewan? Listen, they had that great start. They then went, 8 games without winning a game, including getting swept by the Bombers. But at the end of the season, they seemed to get back to it. And listen, a very impressive win over BC, and they've got to be feeling good about themselves coming in. What have you made about how Corey May stopped the bleeding and where the Riders are at a team coming into Winnipeg in such a high leverage matchup?
Yeah, it was impressive what they were able to do. You talk about the previous 2 years, and when they went on that slide, they were never able to get back up and recover. But this year, they're able to do that. And Davis and I, we talked to Luke Molinder, who's one of the voices of the Roughriders, and he talked about how this team never thought they were on the slide, how they stuck together, how they still allowed themselves to say that we're still a good team. And it showed by the way they were able to bounce back up and put themselves in this position. And a lot of that is owed to the mindset of Corey Mace, how he's able to relate to those younger guys and make sure that they keep themselves in stride going in the right direction. That's just what they're doing. And as you mentioned, they're not just playing good football, but this team is confident. Every time I hear Trevor Harris talks, he talks about, we're walking on water. We're the best team in the CFL, and that's important. You just can't go out there and play like you are. You got to talk it. And if you're talking and you're walking it, that means a lot. So the Bombers are going to have their A game if they want to beat these Rough Riders, because they're playing some great football, and they're playing with a lot of confidence.
Well, and you know what, Milt, just on that, you could make the argument that, hey, where this team and organization was last year to right now, they're sort of playing with house money. But you will know when you get on a roll, it's like, well, why not us? And to be honest, when you look at both of these teams, I think Saskatchewan is a championship-level defense. I think their offense, when healthy, and Trevor Harris is playing the way he's playing right now, is really dangerous. If you could make an argument that this might be the tightest matchup between these two clubs for 5, 6, 7 years. Really through the O'Shea and Walters era.
Yeah, this is going to be a great matchup. As you mentioned, Saskatchewan's defense with the defensive player of the year, and Milligan, they have some weapons over there offensively. They have Trevor Harris, but I think the best thing that happened to this team was Ouellette got hurt. So now he's fresh, because if he would have been playing all these games, he would have took all that pounding. I don't know if we would have seen what we've seen out of the last 2 games out of all that. He's been running like it's the beginning of the season because he hadn't played much. So this is going to be a matchup. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, yes, they have some great tools over there. Great defense, great coaching staff. We know about Zach. We know about Brady at offensive line. So this matchup, man, it's going to be a nail-biter. As we always say, it's usually the team who makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win this game. I would put $1 billion in if somebody said I could bet that. The team, whoever wins this game, will be the team who makes the least amount of mistakes. You can't make those costly mistakes and think you're going to have an opportunity to win this game. You're going to have to almost play a flawless game because of the way these 2 teams match up.
Milt, the Bombers had the pleasure of not playing last week by account of winning the West with the bye. I have to quickly ask you what you thought of the final 30 seconds of that Winnipeg-Montreal game a couple weeks ago with a little bit of divine intervention. But also, how important is that for a veteran team like Winnipeg to have that extra week of preparation and to not have played last week?
It's very important because they don't need it. They don't need another game. Saskatchewan, they may have needed that another game because, they haven't jailed like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have over the last 5 years. So that game might have helped them. But the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they didn't need to play another game. They know where they are physically, mentally, everything. Majority of those veterans have been there forever. Mike O'Shea, their coaching staff, they understand what they need to do to make it to the Grey Cup. So I think the football god said, okay, I'm going to blow something down for you. But remember, because I'm doing this, every single individual throughout Winnipeg, every parent, your firstborn child, if it happens before this year, needs to be named Wendy or Wendell. So that's all I'm asking. But I mean, that was amazing how that wind just impacted that game. Right before Montreal was about to punt the ball, the wind just kicked in. You saw some yellow and blue flakes coming down from the heavens. So it worked in Winnipeg's favor. And I always say, if they go on and win the Grey Cup, that last punt by the Montreal Alouettes may be their play of the year because it allowed them to get the bye week.
It was the damnedest thing, and everyone here in Winnipeg was more than happy to take it. I think, a little bit of a relief as well, because, we've known and we've seen. 2019, the Bombers went on the road and won in the semi and then won in the final, ended up winning the Grey Cup. But the numbers will tell you over history. And listen, first-place teams probably have a better chance of winning the others, but there is something about having that week off. And, Milt, as you well know and sort of alluded to, there is no home field advantage in the Canadian Football League like the home field advantage in Winnipeg, and it is going to be cranked up to 11 on Saturday right from kickoff.
Yeah, the Blue Bombers, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Blue Bomber through and through, they are the flagship franchise. And years ago, maybe before 2009, it was the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Let's be honest about that. But over the last 5 years, Wade Miller has molded this organization to be something special, and it speaks volumes when you see the amount of sellouts they have and how impactful that is to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. When you run on the field and you have a sellout crowd and they're screaming and they're loud, when the opposing team is on offense and they're screaming and they're loud and the quarterback can't relay his audibles to his receivers or offensive linemen, that goes a long way in helping the team win the game. So that's going to play dividends when those Blue Bombers step on the field, having that home crowd, having that loud crowd behind their back.
The crowd hopefully won't be as loud when the Bombers are out on the field, but they're going to have to deal with that Saskatchewan defense. Milt, if you're Buck Pierce, and just from a Bomber offensive perspective, other than the obvious ball security and taking care of the football and not turning it over, what do you see the path to victory for the Blue Bombers? What will we likely see Mike O'Shea and his staff try to execute early on to give the Bombers the upper hand?
Well, no one's been able to do this, but they're going to try to establish the run, in my opinion. They're going to try to use the possible MOP of the league and Brady Oliveira. You don't want to go into a game and say, okay, we're going to eliminate the best player in the league from the get-go. You got to give him opportunity. And it may not all be just typical run plays. It may be some short screens, some shovels or something, but you have to get him involved and take all the pressure out of Zach, because just having Zach drop back is not going to be your formula to success. And I know, as I alluded to, no one has been able to run the ball in Saskatchewan, but you have to try to see if you can do it. Because we know what happens when Brady Oliveira and the offensive line gets rolling. Once they get rolling, everything opens up. So in my opinion, if I'm Michael Shea, if I'm Buck Pierce, I'm going to try to come out and see if we can do it. I'm not going to just say that no one has been able to do it, even us, and not try to do it. I'm going to try to come out and establish Brady Oliveira and that run game. If you do that, you're not going to beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, and he, Brady's just built for November. Yes. And the Bombers in a lot of ways have created an offense, not just around their talented receivers, but with Brady Oliveira as the centerpiece to win football games outdoors at Princess Auto Stadium in November. And they're looking up. But so much of that starts on the line of scrimmage. And I think, we'll look at just mistakes, as you mentioned. Turnovers, that turnover battle in such a close matchup. More than likely, the team that takes care of the football better probably wins. But so much of it starts on the line of scrimmage. Milt, what do you make of the battle in the trenches between the Roughriders and the Bombers on Saturday?
As you mentioned, that's where it's going to be won, especially when you get to November. I like to call them a BWB bad weather backs. We have two of the best in Ouellette and Brady, and they're going to try to establish both of those guys. And so your opposing offensive line or defensive line is going to have to come up big. And we know how these guys like to play. We know the Winnipeg Blue Bombers like to establish the line of scrimmage on both sides. Same way with the Roughriders, with Micah Johnson and those guys, and of course Willie Jefferson and those guys for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So it's going to be very important that you got to come out and be physical, establish that physicality early on, and let teams know that, as they say, we're going to smack you in the mouth, and we're going to keep smacking you in the mouth. We're not looking to beat you. We're looking to make you quit. And when you make a team quit, that's when you know you have them. So both of these teams are going to try to come out early and establish that physicality, and it happens on offense and the defensive line.
Bomber legend TSN's Milt Stegall with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk, getting ready for a super Saturday in the Canadian Football League. Bombers and Riders, West Final, 5:30, Princess Auto Stadium. It's already sold out. Milt, a lot of focus is going to be on the guys slinging it. Trevor Harris, Zach Caleros, both very experienced, former teammates way back when.
Yeah.
How do you see the battle of the quarterbacks going into Saturday?
Yeah, that's going to be important. And I've been saying this for like the last couple of weeks. Trevor Harris, since he's returned from injury, has been playing the best football any quarterback in the CFL. That's how well he's played. But we know Zach, this is his time of year. When you get in the playoffs, you know Zach always comes up big for you. He always knows how to make those plays at opportune times. Yes, he may make some mistakes. He's done that in the postseason before, but when it's time to make those plays, to get your team to the Grey Cup, he's been able to do that for the last 4 years, and I'm sure he's looking to do that for a fifth. So these quarterbacks are very instrumental in the outcome of this game. As they always say, the quarterback is the most important position on the field. They control the flow of the game. They control the game. These are two experienced guys. They both played in Grey Cups before. Trevor hasn't won one yet, but he's been in a couple. So these guys know what it takes. They know how to adjust to certain defenses. So it's going to be a chess match. There are no checkers being played in this game. Both of these guys know how to play chess, and it's going to be a magnificent matchup to see who can come away with the victory.
Milt, one area that I would imagine, at least on paper, swings in Winnipeg's favor is just the familiarity with the situation and experience. The Saskatchewan Roughriders a year ago were going their separate ways, not even in the playoffs. Well, for the last couple of years, Winnipeg is looking to win the West Final for the fifth consecutive year and go to the Grey Cup. How much will that help the Bombers, and how much should it when we come in on Saturday? Or is that something that we talk about, but really in between the lines when we kick off, it's about who gets it done?
That's all it's about. Experience means nothing. You got two excellent teams, and the best team, the team who plays the best on Sunday is going to win. It doesn't have anything to do with Winnipeg being in the last four Grey Cups. Nothing. Having experience playing in West Finals, nothing at all. It's about who plays the best on Sunday, and as I alluded to, who makes the least amount of mistakes. That's who's going to win the game. So I'm sure Mike O'Shea is not bringing it up. We have experience that's going to help us out. No, because you don't want that in the back of anybody's mind. You want them to be able to go out there and just say, we got to go out here and play our A game. It has nothing to do with what we've done in the past, because the past, all we can control is what we can do at Sunday at 5:30 Central. So that's all that matters. Nothing what happened in the past matters at all.
Milt, while we've got you here, I got to ask you about the East Final. And of course, this is a rematch of last year, a year when the tables were turned. The Argos were the team to beat. The Argos went 16-2. And Chad Kelly had the most miserable day of his playoff career that completely nuked their season. These teams are in kind of different places and seemingly on different paths right now. Very, very tight. I think it's a 2-point spread right now. Mm-hmm. Do you have a lean right now in this Montreal-Toronto game? And outside of the obvious, not doing what Chad Kelly did last year, how can they bounce back from that and have a different result?
Well, I think, Sharon, I think those demons are behind him based on what we saw last week. That's a confidence builder, because I'm sure he went in nervous. He would never say this, but he went in nervous thinking about what he did last year. But the way he was able to play That was something special. I don't know if they'll be able to have that same type of game and beat a Montreal Alouette team. You know, they had 20 passes, 18 completions. They were on the field less than half of the time for the Ottawa Redblacks. They had 38 offensive plays compared to 78 for Ottawa. They're not going to be able to do that again. They're going to have to establish some drives. But we know what Chad can do. We know he's a big play guy, and he's going to go for him. And if he completes them, he gets that confidence early, Montreal will be in trouble. They can't match Toronto blow for blow offensively. I know they've done some great things on offense, but I don't think they can match them blow for blow. So they can't allow Chad to get going early with those big plays with him and Polk and Daniels, because if they allow that to happen, they don't have a shot in this game. But if they can slow him down a little bit, force him to make some bad throws and create some turnovers, that's how they're going to win the game. Defensive coordinator Noah Thorpe, he knows him very well. He's been around this league forever. He's going to mix things up. And if he can, they win this game. But if he allows, as I just alluded to, Chad to make some big throws early on, the Toronto Argonauts will win this game easily.
Huge day for the CFL and TSN on Saturday. Where are we going to be seeing your mug on Saturday, Milt?
Man, I would love to be in Winnipeg, but they're sending some other guy. He's not Mwamba. He played for Winnipeg too, but no one remembers him. But I'm going to be in studio on the panel with Kate, Matt, and, of course, my little brother I never wanted, Davis. So we'll be in there nice and warm. I wish I was in Winnipeg, but if everything goes as planned, I'm not on TSN, I can say this, I'll see the Blue Bombers in Vancouver. There we go.
Yeah, and, of course, you and the entire team will be heading out there for the entire week. We will see you mid-next week as well. Milt, thanks so much. We will miss you on Saturday at Princess Auto Stadium, but I tell you what, plan is to see you and the Blue Bombers in Vancouver playing for another Grey Cup next week. But bring on the Riders. It doesn't get any better than this. We've been waiting for it, and it is just about here. Milt, thanks so much. All the best to you and the gang.
I appreciate it. Thanks for you. Take care.